Hello everyone. Don't know if anyone's live or watching, but I just wanted to say hello. So how's everyone doing out there regarding their ponds? Are your fish safe? Is everything going okay? Um, so I'm just doing a bit of a live stream, talking to myself really. Sometimes it can be a bit strange talking to yourself, but I wanted to do a new live stream to give you guys a full update on what's happening if you watch this live stream later on. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe you can understand a little bit what I'm going through. Maybe some of you have had problems with predators, I don't know. So, without a further ado, let's have a look around the garden. So, so this is the mess of the garden at the moment. This is what it looks like at the moment. It's a work in progress. As you can see, I've ripped out the skimmer. I've ripped out all the tank connectors. And obviously you can see the big hole there. The question is, should I get rid of the shelves that go around, such as here and here and here? I might keep a little area that goes along there to put some plants, but obviously this area will be separate, and it should be less, well, certainly not really accessible for any sort of heron predators out there. And I did want to ask you guys, have you had any issues with predators yourself? Have you had herons in your garden, and what have you done about it? Now, obviously they're protected, but has anyone thought about basically getting rid of them, permanently? I just wondered, Um, Obviously, some of you guys that have been following my videos will know I've had a horrific attack from a heron recently, and it pretty much devastated all my fish. But before we address that, I thought I'd show you a filter box that I've got. But before we do that, let me show you my previous filter. It's nice to see 3 people come on, so a big welcome to everyone that's coming on and seeing the lives, and let me know if you enjoy these live streams. I hadn't done many of them until recently, but if you want me to do some more, I'll keep doing them. So this is my old filter box, 170 centimeters long, quite a big one. It had a spillway on, one of these stainless steel spillways. I'm going to get rid of the long one but keep the smaller one, and essentially that's what the filter was. I had a EPDM liner in there. Obviously we had a tank connector there, and an outlet pipe here with a ball valve that allowed us to, get rid of the mucky water. If you're going to think about doing something like this, it might be advisable to put a tank connector underneath so all your water gets drained through gravity. And obviously you put your gravel in here, you have your sponges, and if you check out my old video, you'll obviously see how I built this. It's one of my second most popular videos. If you look under popular on my channel, you'll find how I built this with sponges and different types of aggregate. Hello Humber Koi, evening, nice to see you come onto the channel. So yeah, that's the original filter box, and I thought I'd show you my new one. So let me just go over and show you the new one, which I've been presently lining with something called Pond Shield. So let me just show you it. Turn the camera around, that is. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit smaller. This is about 1.2 meters long, and I just thought I'd just show you the second coat of pond armour I've put in. Now you can use other types of materials to line something like this, like a liner. You can use carbon fibre. You can use epoxy. This is a shield epoxy material that you can put in two parts. So if we have a look here, we've got part A, pond shield non-toxic epoxy, and then we have part B, which is pond shield non-toxic epoxy simple application. Basically it's in two parts, so you get half a tin of that and a full tin of that, and what you do is you mix it together, and obviously you have your hardener, which that's the hardener, and this is just the grey material, which is a plastic, and you mix it together, and in 20 minutes it should go quite hard. Now you can mix it with this, which is rubbing alcohol, 91%. It allows it to be more pliable, but it takes a lot longer to dry. When I used about 20 ml of this, it sort of made the substance, get quite runny, and it took about a good 24 hours to dry. Hello, Martin Koi Pond. Nice to see you there. Thought I'd show you something. These are the play buttons he made for me. So I just want to say a big thank you. So obviously I've got a clear one there, a white one with black, and black one with white. So obviously I could probably paint one of those red and put that on the pond, and it'll look quite nice. So a big thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. It came today. So in regards to the fish, I've been using this Pond Medic Africrylin 1%, an effective treatment for fin, tail and mouth rot, including ulcers, bacterial and fungal infections. I've got these four. I got these on eBay actually. I actually bought this as a set. I think it was about £22. So you get your Pond Medic Macrolide, Pond Medic Formalin, and obviously some of this Pond Medic Afrilin. It came with this, which I didn't expect. This came free as an extra. An effective treatment for bacterial infections, including fin rot and fungus. Back to side, which not sure on this, but it probably does a similar job. Thanks a lot, Martin. Appreciate that. It was a very nice gesture. So yeah, I've been treating the fish with this stuff. However, it's a bit of a sad story. So I think it's time I showed you the aftermath of what's happened. But before I do that, I'll just talk briefly about the pond shield stuff. So the pond shield stuff here is to liner the filter box, and then I'll put some of those baskets in here, but I'll have to buy some new ones because that's 27 centimeters wide, should fit in here, but it doesn't. Let me just show you. I've got it from a company called Timber Craft UK on eBay. So I had some of these folding baskets off eBay, and the idea was that this would slot in there. I gave him the precise dimensions of the basket, and as you can see, it doesn't fit, does it? Which is a bit disappointing. I did contact the person on eBay, but he has not replied for over 2 days. So it's safe to say he's not interested in conversing with me. So, that's just one of those things, I guess. Some people care about their reputation, others don't. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice box, well made, well lined with plywood. Brilliant. I was really chuffed with how it looked. Unfortunately, the baskets don't fit, so I'm sort of a bit disappointed on that. But I thought I'd just show you. Right, so some of you guys will be coming to the video thinking, well, it's about your fish. What are you talking about that? Obviously, that's part of the new pond build, obviously. So here we come to the sadness. So I do apologise if this is a bit upsetting for you guys, because it's very upsetting for me. You know, I'm gutted. I'm really gutted. But I think maybe it's nice to share this so you guys can know how devastating a heron bird can be to your fish. You know, even the fact that he couldn't get hold of it. You know, let's just have a look. So look at this, guys. This is the site of what happened. We got a net there, right? Now, obviously, it's a temporary pool while I'm building that thing over there. So I thought, I've never seen a heron in my garden before. This should be safe here for a few days. Well, I'd never expected to see a heron bird spend 2 hours stabbing my fish to hell. And that's what they did. So let's have a look what I've done in the garage. So guys, I've got this nice pool from B&Q, local hardware store. It's a child bath type pool that you can buy for the summer. So what I did is I got this filter that I built. I've put it in there because it was leaking for some reason at the bottom. Probably because there might be some holes at the bottom. So I just thought I'd pop it in the middle of the pond to filter it. And it seems to be doing a nice job. As you can see, looks quite nice with the lava rock and the sponges and the pipe outlet there. And I also went to the trouble of getting a heater to heat this water up a bit warmer. I've got a pump in there. I'll show the 2 fish remaining. As you can see, they look really bad. It's like they've got some sort of furry substance on their bodies. So I just wanted to show you guys the damage that thing has done to my fish. You know, that's how my big koi looks like. Here's a small one. And as you can see, they look really bad, don't they, guys? Now, if you've seen my previous update videos, you will know I talked about my butterfly koi. And here you go. So the yellow one has passed. He was breathing a lot better than the other one. And the orange one has passed as well. You know, the reason the pool looks like it does is because it's got that aquaflorin Medicare in here. I thought it would help. Unfortunately, they just passed. They just were lying on their sides, not moving for days, and unfortunately, before I was considering possibly euthanizing them, they passed them last night. So that's unfortunate and disappointing. So I was a bit sad this morning when I saw that. So I checked the pond. Guys, this morning. Had a look, see how they're doing. Then I went to work this morning, and then I came back early around 2 o'clock, and I found this. Obviously you can see that he's got a red eye. He's got redness around the body. Lots of mucus. There's redness around the face because he was being sucked by the pump, because he was literally against the pump there. and obviously he's passed as well. And based on the condition that he is in, he's in a similar condition to the other two fish. I really don't think they're going to survive. So that's the update, guys. I wanted to show you that I've only got 2 left out of the 5. So I wanted to do another live stream and tell you guys about it, so you can see what's happened. I did try and talk on Gaz's live stream on Thursday about this. Gaz sort of explained briefly what happened. He got it wrong though. The bird wasn't attacking my fish for 45 minutes. It was attacking my fish for 2 hours. And he pretty much sort of brushed it up under the carpet when I was asking for some advice about treatments. Rick briefly mentioned ways to help, but apart from that, it was like, I don't really care. So I was a bit disappointed about his attitude, if you ask me. But enough of that anyway. I digress. So as you can see, out of the 5, I've got 2 left that were literally mauled by that. I'm gonna be blunt. Cover your ears, please. That fucking heron. So that's more or less the update, guys. Also, I thought I'd show you my other pond outside. So let's go to the small pond. So here's the small pond, ladies and gentlemen. Now for some days I've been wondering, well, hang on a minute, where's my goldfish? Now I am able to find a shabunkin in there. There's a shabunkin fish. I don't know if I can coax him out for you guys to see. Let me see if I can get him to come out. Oh, hang on a minute. What's that? I've just seen, I don't know if you saw that, but I've just seen a white goldfish. So that's some good news, because I did have a shabunkin in there. I saw that earlier, and I've just seen the white-topped goldfish. Now you might be wondering, how did the fish in this pond survive when this pond is only a little bit deeper than the other pool where they attacked my koi fish? This is because there's a fish cave. I built a fish cave into this pond. So there's a fish cave underneath those plants there, quite a large one. And I designed it like that just in case something like this could happen. But this is a permanent pond, it's not like a temporary pond. So we have a tiny bit of good news that it's possible that there was 3 fish in here. I've seen 2. So I don't know about the other one, but the temps are really cold, so they're probably hibernating down there. Yeah, another YouTuber comment, dog. He says hate them. We're talking about the heron birds, aren't we? The thing is, let me just reiterate. Look at my garden, guys. We've got a big fence there. We've got the house, right? I've got a big fence there, the garage, and then this massive wall. It's not like anything can see into my garden easily. So to see that there's fish in this pond, I'm just shocked how it could have seen it. You know, there's not a lot of airspace above this area that you could easily see that there's fish in there. I've never seen herons in my garden before. Um, see, in Batley Park, there's a big pond, which isn't that big, and even then, I've only seen one heron occasionally. But if you go to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, there's a big park there, and you'll see lots of herons there. But that's about 15 miles away from where I live. You know, so for a heron to get into my garden is really, really hard. So I want the reason I wanted to share my experiences regarding, you know, the sad story of my fish being attacked and mauled to death by a bloody bird is maybe it could help you guys protect your fish in some way, shape or form. You know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there putting nets on their ponds, you know, and I think essentially if your pond is a metre deep or deeper, your fish are going to be pretty safe. But I do think having a fish cave in your pond is a very, very good idea. How can you make a fish pond? A fish cave pond. Quite easily, guys. You could get a flagstone and 2 stones either side to create your fish cave. Doesn't have to be huge, but at least somewhere safe for your fish to go to, especially if your pond isn't very deep. Another thing is, have you ever seen those large twin wall drainage pipes that are about, I don't know, maybe 30 centimeters wide? They're perfect for a fish cave. And you can make them as long as you want, you know. The thing with fish caves is there is a bit of a downside. A lot of your fish do tend to want to hang out in fish caves away from you because they're a predator. And I watched a video recently that talked about your fish's attitude towards you as the owner and the attitude between yourself and predators. Sorry, between your fish and predators. Basically, if they're very friendly with you as a human, they're not going to be that fearful of predators getting into your pond. So it's sort of a catch-22. Yes, you want your fish to come up to you and be petted by you and be hand-fed by you. That's great. That's lovely. It's what a lot of people want. But also be mindful that if your fish becomes accustomed to you as a person, they could potentially not be afraid of predators. That's the problem with that. And that's not just coming from me. That was a YouTube video I watched, and I thought I'd basically portray their opinion over to you guys. Martin Koi Pond and Garden says, tinted polycarbonate over my pond and closed in. That's a good idea. Yeah, I've actually got opal white, so we get sunlight coming through, but it's not very visible. You see. The ginger pond keeper, they can see it as they fly over from really high up. They nest a fair distance from where they hunt, so will regularly fly routes around towns, and they're also looking for places to hunt. Yeah, I can see that, but it's obviously very disappointing from your perspective if you get a bird coming, and I know it's illegal to hunt herons or kill them, but I can understand why people sometimes want to shoot them. You know, I can't say too much on YouTube, but you know what I'm thinking, don't you? But yeah, some people have said comments, get your revenge on it if you can, and I suspect that some people do. You know, I suppose anyone could set up a trap, you know. But yeah, the ginger pond keeper. If you've not already seen in this live stream, I've lost 3 out of my 5 koi. Um, two butterfly and one of my regular koi, and the other two, if I'm honest with you, I don't think they're going to live longer than a couple of days. If I'm honest with you, and a couple of weeks ago, I lost a ghost koi who jumped out of the pool, and who's to say that Heron try and didn't make that happen? Although I don't quite understand why he didn't take that ghost koi away, because I didn't have a net on at the time. But these things try us, I suppose. There is something I do want to talk about. There's a lot of people out there, I don't know, you may have relatives who think this. Oh, it's only fish. Don't be so cut up about it. What are you crying for? I wonder if you've ever had relatives say that to you. But what you got to remember is they're pets just like a cat and a dog. You know, you spend a lot of time looking after them, and they're no less important to you than, say, a cat and a dog is. Um, that's another subject matter as well. Some people have said, get a dog in your garden. Well, I don't know. Do people get kennels and leave the dogs in their gardens anymore? Um, I know they used to many years ago, but most people just let the dogs live in the house with them, you know. But it's something to think about, certainly, you know, as a prevention, you know, preventative measure to dealing with koi fish. Sorry, dealing with predators. So that's the update, really. As you can appreciate, I'm not being up to doing stuff on the pond at present because, first of all, it's been really cold. The temperatures have been around 5 to 8 degrees. Um, I was hoping that it would be a lot warmer. For you guys who are interested in the weather, I believe we're going to hit 14 degrees on Monday, and hopefully the weather will improve. But compared to last year, it's bloody freezing, isn't it? I don't know if anyone is wondering where the hell the summer is. um, you know, it's not quite summer yet, but you would expect temps to be a lot warmer. Martin says, my collie is outside full time. He can't tolerate the heat inside. Ooh. Not sure why. Maybe your missus has the heating on too high. The ginger pond keeper says we can't be hating on them or otters. We put out a buffet out for them. I lost 4 carp, 14 rudd, 1 trent, and 1 crucian last year to an otter. That wasn't its fault. It's my job to keep them safe. I get what you're saying, the ginger pond keeper. I understand that. However, well, you're right. You know, sometimes you can blame yourself, can't you? I did see a video the other day where a gentleman had a pond right next to I think it was a lake, and there was otters in that lake, and the otters literally ate all his big fish. Um, Probably not the cleverest idea to put a pond right next to a lake where you've got otters in it, but you know, otters have a habit of eating through nets, don't they? And liners. I think some people have said that in the past. Um, so, uh, what do you guys do to keep your pond safe? Do you rely on nets, shotguns? Um, I suppose you could get a crossbow or a longbow. Um, but I know these herons are considered protected. But what about the fish that these birds are eating? Don't they have the same right to be protected as well? You know, um, after all, let's face it, it's my garden, not theirs. You know, my territory, my space, not their space. If they want their space, they can go off to a lake, they can go off to a park, they can go off to fields and grasses. I don't want them coming into my garden. I don't know how you guys feel, um, but it is what it is, I guess. Hello, Andrew, James. How are you doing? It's nice to have some people come on. Um, do you guys like these live streams? I just wondered, because it can be a bit boring me just talking sometimes. Um, might be interested to get other people to come on at some point. I'm just on my phone in the garden though, so it's not really that sort of practical, but maybe we could do something indoors at some point. Get a few guests coming on, having a chat about fish and ponds and building ponds, on Medicare, how to cure fish, how to keep your fish safe. I think that's another topic that we should talk about. Really, is how to keep your fish safe from predators. Um, because you know there's many people out there who spend a lot of money on fish, and the last thing they want is some predator to come along and kill it. You know, at the end of the day, they are pets. You know, they are in effect your friends as such. Um, so essentially, that's part of life, I guess. Um, Andrew, James, if you're just come on, just give you a quick update, like I've been telling everyone. I had a heron bird come into my garden and attack my fish in a temporary pond that I set up. Um, while I build my big pond, you know. Unfortunately, it couldn't get hold of the fish because there was a net on, and it just kept pulling the fish out, trying to get them out, but it couldn't. But every time it did, it hurt them, and it did this for 2 hours. After 2 hours of damage, it got spooked and basically left. And unfortunately, the fish were so badly hurt, they've started to die slowly. Gwen Gamble question: if you opened a cat that killed and brought home a bird, would you kill your cat? After all, cats are predators. Good question, Gwen. I can see your point. Um, but then again, your cat has gone into the wild and got hold of that bird. It's not, you know, nicked that bird from someone's cage in their garden, because I think that's the difference, isn't it? You know, in nature, I think, you know, it's natural, let's say, for a cat or a dog or a bird of prey to, you know, kill something for food. But you wouldn't expect that predator to come into someone's garden, open a cage, and get hold of a budgie and kill it. I don't think that I wouldn't consider that a fair comparison. So, you know, everyone's got a different point of view. You know, you're welcome to have yours, Gwen. I know there's lots of people who think, well, the wild animals, it's just nature. But my back garden is not the you know, a park. You know, it's not a, you know, a forest or a lake. It's my own space where I relax, you know. So everyone's got different perspectives and everyone's got a different opinion. All opinions are welcome on this channel. You're welcome to voice or even criticize me if you want to, which I do get some criticism. But I guess it's just part and parcel of keeping pets. You know, even dogs can be attacked and cats can be attacked, and your fish, your birds can be attacked. You know, you don't want that to happen, and we try our best to protect them as much as we can. But sometimes you may make a mistake and do something that you didn't expect there would be any sort of problems with in the going forward. So, you know, we're not infallible humans, are we? We make mistakes. My mistake was to leave this pool out here thinking that they'd be safe. Um, I never expected to have a large bird like that come into my garden, since I've never seen one in my garden before. Um, but things happen, I guess. It's a lesson learnt for me, for definite. Um, you know, but it, I don't know what more I can really say on this subject, really. Obviously, I've shown you the damage the fish have been hurt. Obviously, I'm probably going to lose all my fish because of what I did. Some people have said don't blame yourself, it's just nature. But you can't stop thinking, if I'd not put them in that pool outside, they wouldn't have been in that position, would they? Don't know what more I can say, really, ladies and gentlemen. Just be vigilant regarding your fish. Try and look after them if you can. But even the biggest pond with the best net on the earth sometimes can't stop predators getting into your pond. Chris Ware says, it's a tough lesson, mate. You thought they would be safe with the net. I would only blame you if you had the same mistake again. Yeah, you're right, Chris. Certainly won't be making that mistake again, will I? Best thing to do, ladies and gentlemen, if you're doing something like I'm doing, rebuilding your pond, and you want to put your fish into some place temporary, put them indoors if you can, in your garage if you can, in a shed if you can. But there are many people out there who have built temporary pools, put their fish in the temporary pools, and never experienced a problem while they build their pond, and then transfer the fish out of the pool into the pond. Even the professionals, when they're cleaning out someone's pond, will put fish in a temporary pool, like I have, or something a bit bigger, maybe. But even they can't anticipate a predator coming along and eating the fish. And they tend to put the fish in a temporary pool for a couple of days while they do their work. And just off the off chance, a bird might be coming along and think, oh, I'll try my luck. And that can happen to anyone, I guess. Yeah, I understand, Gwen. I'm not having a go at you. For the guys on the stream, she said, sorry, I'm not criticizing. I know how you feel, and you did all you could to save your fish. What I'm trying to get at, Gwen, is humans make mistakes. And unfortunately, I never expected to have a big heron bird come in my garden while I rebuilt the pond, you know. I spent all week trying to look after the fish rather than spend that time sorting the pond out, you know. And it's becoming quite frustrating. So, yeah, things happen, I know. But I do appreciate everyone coming on and giving me support. And your nice comments have been appreciated. I have acknowledged quite a lot of you who have, left comments. I know Sharpie, Koi channel, he recently left a comment because I don't think he had seen the horrific heroin attack. And when he did, he reached out and was quite nice about it. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that has been, nice. There's been the odd person who's had a go, you know, but ponds don't get built overnight, you know. Ponds can sometimes take weeks to get built. I know Yorkshire Koi, let's use him as an example. He was rebuilding his big pond that he already had into a massive pond. And he's put his fish in like a temporary pool, quite a bit bigger than the one I've got, but still, I don't think it would have stopped a heron getting in there and eating his fish, even though he had a net over the top. I think where he was a bit different is he tried to, I think he may have had a tarp over, trying to disguise it a little bit. But if a if a predator's determined, they'll 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 rip that temporary pool apart to get to the fish. Quick Ware, I love your bog filter, by the way. I am going to use a second-hand fiberglass bay filter in a very similar way. I will send you pics when I do. Chris, would that be one of those Cockney Koi multi-bay, green bay things? Someone did suggest that to me, and I was going to get one of those at one point, because if you've seen my videos, I bought a Evolution Aqua surge filter, which is very, very similar to the Tempest. And the idea is I will have that over by the pond. So let me just switch this over. Switch it over again. So the idea would be the surge filter would be on that post there. And then a pipe would run down into another box filter. Another box filter that will be there with another spillway. The spillway that I'll be using will be this smaller one here. I was using this big one, but I find that smaller ones work a bit better than the big ones, if I'm honest with you. And then on top of that, we will have pipe work that will be divided, because you can't put too much power through the surge, because it will only take 3,500 litres per hour. So a 10,000 per hour vari pump will be too powerful for it. So what we'll do is we'll split the water. So obviously we'll have the surge there, the box filter here, and then I'll put a third filter here, which I might put the bowl filter there or a similar thing. And if you're wondering what the bowl filter looks like, it's this thing here, based on the Aquascape spillway bowls that you can buy, with a notch cut out where the water can come out and go in. Let me get the water on so you can see that running. So let me just turn the water on. Let that fill up, just so we can simulate. The plants seem to be sort of dying a little bit, so I may need to give them some plant food. So essentially that's how it works. Chris, yeah, I think you're talking about the mini Cockney Koi ones that are a bit smaller without the Vortex. I would highly recommend the Vortex one though. But that's essentially the bowl filter. I highly recommend you check out the video on how I built this, because you can get that off Amazon for 13 quid and make your own for maybe £50 in total. If you want to get one of the Aquascape spillway bowls that look like this, you're talking £600. That's a lot of money, isn't it? So, you know, it's something to think about. If you've just come onto the stream, just wanted to re-inform you that we've lost two butterfly koi there. One of my lovely koi. And I've only got 2 remaining, which look badly injured. Almost like they've got fur growing around them. Those are the only 2 I've got left, guys. That's it. Here's the made up square filter. Got this box from Aldi and I've just modified it. It does leak at the bottom though, so I do need to probably reseal the bottom of it. But that's what we're using for a filter. We've got the lava rock, sponges underneath. That's essentially what I've been using. So I thought I'd just show you the filtration on the children pool. Since you've just come on, Chris, I will show you the new box filter that I'm working on at present. I've already talked about it once, but here's the new box filter, which has been lined with something called Pond Shield. That's Pond Shield non-toxic epoxy liner. Now I've got this from the United States because you can't get it in the UK. It comes in 2 parts. The 2 parts it comes in, part A and part B. What you do is you mix it together. It works very much like fiberglass, where you use a resin, basically creates a plastic. I thought I'd just show you this here. This is what the plastic looks like actually on this roll. As you can see, that's the plastic material. And basically that's what it basically waterproofs your filter box. It's basically a hard plastic. So I thought I'd just show you that. I got this from Timbercraft UK on eBay. Asked them to build it for me, but unfortunately they made it too not wide enough, because this basket should fit in there because it's 27 centimeters wide. So unfortunately they've sort of mucked up there and they won't reply to my messages, unfortunately. But that's that. Sometimes people make mistakes and not prepared to rectify it. Anyway, that's that. So yeah, Chris says yes, but without the Vortex section. Why not get the Vortex section? I think it's quite a useful thing, that, where it helps to, filter your pond quite nicely. I've seen them work. They look really nice. I've done the odd pond visit to people's houses, and there was one called can't remember, was it Koi, something like that. Check out my channel. I did a pond visit to his pond, and you can check out his Vortex. It's a massive round thing he used, which was a huge Vortex. It was not quite as big as this pool, but maybe half of it. But it was huge, and that's what he used to filter his pond. So it's one of those things, isn't it? Filters can be really expensive, can't they? But another thing I wanted to point out is filter boxes, building them can be very expensive. Like this filter box that I've already talked about cost me close to probably £100 in wood. Now that other filter box I've just showed you was about £100 to get someone else to make it for me. So wood can be quite expensive. It all depends on if you're prepared to make it yourself, and do you have the time to make it. That's another thing, isn't it? You don't always have the time. Chris, if you've just joined the stream, I just wanted to briefly say that it does appear that at least 2 of the fish in the small pond have survived. And why do you think that is? Well, it's quite simple. There's a fish cave there, So if they get spooked, they can literally swim into it and they're safe. Unlike the mini pool where they had nowhere to go. And you know, I just wish, I just wish I'd put a fish cave in here, you know, somewhere where they could have gone and been safe. But it's all right. It's easy to say that in hindsight. Have you been watching the Plywood aquarium videos too? The second-hand bay filter I bought didn't have the Vortex section. Didn't bother me as I just wanted a bog filter with a drain at the bottom. I can understand that. That's fine. There's no right or wrong thing to buy. I'm not having a go at you, Chris, for that. All I'm saying is it's a nice Vortex thing to have. Now you mentioned bog filters. This is where the confusion begins when it comes to bog filters. A lot of people think a bog filter is a gravel type filter like what I built. It's not, unfortunately. A lot of people do get this confused, and it sometimes annoys the hell out of me. And I'm not having a go at you, Chris, for saying that. It's just people don't quite understand what a bog filter is. A bog filter, right, is a filter that is using plants to filter your pond, and there's nothing wrong with that. Plants are fantastic for filtering a pond. The problem is you've got all that soil. That soil's doing nothing for you. What is far better to filter your pond, is quite simply put, is using aggregates, gravel, different sized stones. So basically you have large stones, medium sized stones on top, small stones on top of that, and then probably some sort of pea gravel on top of that. And what it is you have a void underneath all that gravel where the water easily flows around, and then it filters through the various layers of rock and gets filtered. And then you'll have potentially a layer of plants actually living in the actual gravel itself, not in the soil. And this is the massive beneficial bacteria that's actually in the gravel that's filtering your pond. And then you've got the benefit of your plants that takes all the ammonia out, and your nitrites are turning into nitrates. I think I got that right, or it's the other way around. I sometimes forget. And that's why a wetland filter, and that's essentially what the gravel filter is. A wetland filter is far better than a bog filter. It's actually 10 times better. And this isn't just coming from me. If you've ever watched the pond professor who works for Aquascape, he has his own YouTube channel, as well as he features on Aquascape's own YouTube videos. And he talks about these wetland filters, how they work, how they operate. And I just took his idea, which was on a massive scale. They do ponds that are like lake size, don't they? And they have these filtration systems which are based on wetland filters, which essentially is different sizes of rocks with a void underneath. They use something called aqua blocks. Aqua blocks is basically a container that can hold water, and then above the aqua blocks you put the various types of filtration media, which is different types of rocks basically. And then you get a biofilm of organics that live on the rocks. We call it anaerobic bacteria, and that's what feeds off the pond. There's nothing wrong, Chris. You don't have to be sorry. People do get this concept confused, and they don't quite understand. Anyone can build a bog filter. You can get soil, put plants, and it'll feed off the ammonia and the plants. It's still a way of filtering your pond. It does a good job, but it's not as effective as a wetland filter. Why do you think people use these shower systems? The shower system is in effect a wetland filter reversed. So basically you have your water above, filtering through various different types of aggregates. It could be ceramics, it could be lava rock, it could be pumice, or it could be a special type of ceramics. Mountain Tree has created their own version of these ceramics. If you watch the Hawaiian Fish Keeper, another great YouTuber I recommend you watch, he has a channel dedicated where he does have promotions for Mountain Tree quite often, and I believe he gets sponsored by them. But nevertheless, he shows you their products, which are very good. So I highly recommend you check out Mountain Tree products. They have a website. They do supply to UK and American people. So you know, my audience is based in North America and Europe should be able to have access to the Mountain Tree stuff. Basically, they have some very, very good products that are based on Japanese matting, but better. Nice sponges, nice designs, and I'm not paid to promote them, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not advertising them, but what I'm saying is they're a good product to get. Sorry about the helicopter flying ahead. So Chris says the flow through them needs to be slow though, right? Not always. I wouldn't recommend putting a massive 10,000 litre per hour through it, clearly. It depends on the size. The bigger the filter system, the more water you can push through it. But yes, you don't want to have a massive amount of water going through them. I would say no more than 3,000 litres per hour, really. I've got various like emergency pumps lying around, and they're around the 3,000 litres per hour, and they do fine. I wouldn't say put through a vari pump at 10,000 litres per hour through it. I think that'd be too much, and it could even overload a spillway or any sort of pipes that come out of it. But it's very interesting that you say that, Chris, because you do need to slow down the water. Another way of doing that is you can split the flow. Now, I was trying to put my vari pump through the mini pond where the heron attacked, and you might want to check those videos out where I actually reduced the flow that was going through the actual bowl filter. And in fact, I'll show you that right now. So let me just show you a way of reducing your flow if it's too powerful. So if it's too powerful, you've got your vari flow here, and then you put a T on there, and then you connect that up to a ball valve that you can alter the flow on, so you can put more flow coming through that if you need to lessen the amount of flow that goes through into the bowl filter. I would always recommend a one-way valve as well. So if you've got too much power going through and it's overloading that, like that was actually overflowing because there was too much power. So I opened this valve here a little bit, lets flow come out that way, and then you've got less flow in there and it's not going to overload that filter. The principle is the same. If you just want to have a trickle, not a major waterfall coming out of it. You know, you don't need massive waterfalls. You just need something that does the job, that's all. Andrew James, is it Ed the Pond Professor? Yes, it is, Andrew. You're absolutely right. It's Ed the Pond Professor. I enjoy watching his videos. Unfortunately, the problem with aquascape products is they're too expensive. And aquascape try to portray that aquascape products are the end and be all. They invented the technology, apparently. They didn't. Believe it. Just 1 minute. No, Aquascape did not invent all these things. They may have improved on existing designs and made them a bit better. You know, Oazi has been making pond skimmers for a very, very long time. You know the surge is just the Tempest with a UV inside. um, well, actually, it's a little bit different to that, Andrew. Um, it doesn't have a clear structure, which means you don't get algae growing inside it. Also, it's not quite as powerful as the Tempest. So, first of all, let's just talk about that. The Tempest is more powerful. You can run 5,000 litres per hour through the Tempest quite easily. The recommended amount you can put through the Surge is 2,500 litres per hour. Now, in theory, you can put 3,500 litres per hour through the Surge, but you can put 7,500 litres per hour through the Tempest. So there are benefits with the Tempest. However, as you just said, there's no UV. So it would be some extra you'd have to buy. It depends. If you can live with 2,500 litres per hour, which is pretty adequate for most small ponds or medium-sized ponds, I think you'll be happy. However, I think having the Surge in combination with another filter is the ideal solution, where you can split the flow, have some of it going through the Surge, some of it going through a box filter or any other type of filter, and you'll be happy with that. The Tempests, a lot of people complained about the actual bottom valves were leaking, and EA Evolution Aqua actually had to upgrade it and offered a free replacement to everyone that had a Tempest. However, I suspect that sort of put a lot of people off. And I'm not a big fan of the gate valves. You know, I've looked at valves quite a lot recently, and it's quite obvious that ball valves is the way to go, especially the double union ball valves. They are well made, far superior to any other type of valve systems out there. The gate valve has a problem with a potential leak over a period of time. Now, is it to say that the ball valves will never leak? No, that's not the case. But they're better made and better built. And the union ball valves are quite good because you can swap out the ball valve filters the ball valve out for a new one without having to literally destroy your pipework. That's the benefit of a union ball valve. Let me see if I've got one lying around. I did have one. Let me just see if it's here. Here it is. So let me just switch the camera around. So this is a small ball valve, ladies and gentlemen. Now this is a double union. Now you can unscrew that bit and unscrew the top bit and put a new one in without having to completely destroy your pipework. The gate valves, unfortunately, don't give you that option, and you literally have to cut your pipework up and get another gate valve, or put a new seal on the gate valve, and then sort of construct it and redo it again and do the pipework, as well as because it's solvent well, you'll have to re-glue it as well, which is a big pain. So this is why the double union ball valves are better, because you can always swap them out. So I hope that was informative. That's why I did buy a lot of gate valves, and then I did a lot of research, and based on past experience with ball valves, I thought I'm going to replace all the gate valves with ball valves instead. Better to be safe than sorry. Shall we talk about pipe work? So that pipe work I showed you was waste pipe. Now a lot of people go for pressure pipe, which is grey, a lot more powerful, a lot thicker walled. and stronger. On a short-term basis, do you need pressure pipe, which is about twice the price? No. But if you want to think long-term, and you're going to have your pond in your garden for a long time, and it could be some years, it's probably a good idea to use pressure pipe. It would seem to me to be false economy to use waste pipe. Waste pipe is brittle when it's exposed to UV light, and to some lesser extent, so is pressure pipe. However, pressure pipe is a lot thicker, so it's less fragile, less brittle. Waste pipe does tend to split and break over the course of a couple of years when it's exposed to UV light. So I thought I'd just talk about piping a little bit. So if you can afford it, use pressure pipe. It's a good product to use, and it will last a long time. It'll probably outlast your pond more than likely. But if you're ever unsure about how you're going to manage your pipe work, use rubber boots and make it very flexible, and use heavy duty ball valves. I intend to do that. I intend to put a ball valve just outside of the pond before it enters, just after it exits the pond in pressure pipe, and then I put a ball valve on there, and then after the ball valve we will have the pump, and it'll allow me the ability to swap out the pump without having to drain the pond. So it's always a good idea to think ahead when you build a pond. How are you going to do something? If I want to change something, if I want to add a filter, if I want to make the pond the filter bigger, or change the filtration, or get a brand new spanking fantastic drum filter at some point, how can I connect it up? Well, if I put a valve in that stops the water, you can add it later. You might not be able to afford it now. Ponds are expensive to build, ladies and gentlemen. They're not cheap. Pipework costs an absolute fortune. You know, the surge filter itself had just forked out £300. It's a lot of money. Sleepers, it's about £600, the sleepers for my pond as it stood previously. Obviously I've got some new sleepers. I've just check out if you're in West Yorkshire and you need some good quality sleepers, I'll put a link in the description box because I've forgotten the company name. But if you check my YouTube channel out, I've done a video about them, and they'll give you a good price if you're after sleepers. And that's another thing we need to talk about, sleepers. I know this video is going on for some time, but sleepers are not all equal. If you go to B&Q and you buy some sleepers, you may find that they're a bit smaller in depth than normal sleepers. That's because they want to reduce the price. You know, remember the days of buying huge Mars bars and big Snickers? Have you noticed how they got smaller but the price has gone higher? Well, the same is true of sleepers. They make them smaller and trying to sort of fool you into thinking that they're, you know, the same thing, but they're not. They've made them smaller and less thick. This is what I learned when I went over to the sawmill. Hang on, I think it's called Yorkshire Sawmill. I believe that's the company name. Anyway, they told me that all these hardware stores, like the likes of Wickes and B&Q, actually make smaller ones, but sell them at the same price. So just remember, when you're buying these sleepers, to check the sizes with a tape measure, just to make sure they are what you want, not what they pretend to be. So Andrew Jane says you can paint the waste pipe with a paint that protects it from the sunlight. No doubt you can, Andrew. Problem is, paint doesn't last forever, does it? Martin Koi Pond and Garden says, I'm off, Paul. Got work in the morning. Glad you like the plaques, and good luck with the pond extension. Thanks a lot, Martin. I appreciate that. Yeah, and good luck with work, because, you know, I guess you're getting up very early. Hang on a minute, it's Sunday. You're going to work Sunday? Uh, well, all credit to you for working on a Sunday. I guess some people have to. So I don't really know what more I can talk about now. We've talked about ponds, obviously my fish dying. It's gone on for quite a long time. We're talking about what's been going on. Oh, he's a security guard. You know what? I was a security guard once, and I went to something called Cream 2000 in Liverpool. So maybe this will be a bit interesting, a little bit of humour. Anyway, I was outside in the freezing cold, and I'll tell you something, it was minus 10 degrees. So I'm outside of the concert. It's a concert, obviously, with lots of famous DJs doing their music. And we weren't allowed in, you see. Only the female security guards were allowed in. Yeah, and I thought, you lucky sods, because it was absolutely freezing. Anyway, some of the people was coming along, trying to get into the concert. You know, legitimately, they had tickets and what have you. And I saw these girls come in wearing nothing but paint. Can you imagine that? Wearing, basically being naked, wearing paint in minus 10 degrees Celsius to go to a concert. Can you imagine that? And this was Cream 2000 in Liverpool. You know, when everyone thought there was going to be some sort of meltdown because it was the year 2000. Yeah, that's an interesting story, isn't it? I bet you've never had that, Martin, have you? Anyway, I don't know what more I can really say, so I'll leave it there for now. Just want to say a big thank you for everyone that's come on. Hope you enjoyed the live stream. I know it's been quite sad, but hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, and hopefully you'll never experience this. My advice is, if you're unsure about keeping your fish outside, have a look around your local area and see if you can keep them indoors to be safe. Fortunately, I have a half moon pond in my conservatory with 3 lovely goldfish that I've had for 2 years. They're my, you know, literally my favourite pets. And since they're inside, they're safe. And that piece of crap can't fucking get hold of them. So Martin says, Jesus, good night, mate. One of those nights, wasn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Go and have your dinner and your tea. And just be thankful that your pets are safe. And I'll see you in another video. Thank you. And thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. And have a nice night. Bye bye.